Wanneroo, round 8, the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship, and the cars lining up on the grid and set for a start in the first of 3 heats today. Craig Lowndes and Alan Jones sharing the front row.
Indeed, row 2, Peter Brock and Glenn Seton.
Third row, John Bowe and Mark Scaife, then Wayne Gardner and Paul Romano.
Row 5, Russell Ingall and Tony Longhurst in the Castrol cars. Row 6, Dick Johnson and Stephen Ellery.
7th row shared by Greg Crick and Larry Perkins, then Stephen Richards and West Australia's Tim Slako.
Row 9, look at all these V8s, Claude Georgie and Mark Larkham, Grant Johnson and Kevin Waldock.
And the final row, row 11, Sean Walker and Peter McLeod.
Seconds away now from the start of Heat 1 for the third time in 96. Our championship leader, Craig Lowndes, on pole position, but look who's alongside him. Alan Jones, the first time on the front row for the pack leader Ford. They get the green light. Jones gets a great start, but Lowndes much stronger as they leap off the line and leads the pack into the first turn. And Larry Perkins, and I think it's the second pack leader car of Paul Romano, have tangled right back in the pack. You could see them flying across the pit exit road. So those two off the racing line. Be interesting to see when they come for the first time. Yellow flags waving meanwhile at the front. The field sweeps over the hill for the first time. It's Craig Lowndes in command from Alan Jones, Peter Brock in the second Mobile Holden Racing Team car. Let's have a look at that on replay again. You can see the pack shuffling around. Bang, there's a collision there. I think Wayne Gardner caught up in that as well. Perkins and Romano flying off the track. Shades of 1995, and the Dashman John Bowe ended in similar circumstances in the clash off the start line.
Well, Larry had made a terrific start there because he was 3 rows on the grid behind Paul Romano, and yet by the time they'd gone 150 metres, they were dead set level, and they've tangled, and as you saw the result.
So Craig Lowndes leaving left off in Lakeside. Absolute domination up in Queensland. He's showing it again here. Big lead as they come across the pits straight for the first time. Alan Jones in second, Brock in third. John Bowe on the Shell FAI Ford in fourth, and look at Mark Scaife in the Sega Commodore. Good start leading Glenn Seton.
Yeah, not a good start for Glenn Seton. Came from 4th position, but shuffled back to 6th already.
Let's have a look at that incident again from race camp. Away they go, power down. Castrol car up ahead of him. Look at Gardner's the meat and the sandwich here. Power, he gets squeezed between them. Romano goes off the left. Perkins comes around the front to the right. They're both off in the sand. Well, it's pretty hectic when they come off the start line, Brad Jones. It's one of the most frightening parts of the race, isn't it?
Certainly is. Larry looked like he was trying to close in on Gardner there a little bit and stay on the tar, and Gardner was looking to move around a bit, and they touched, and Larry arrowed off into the sand, and once you're in the sand here, you're out of the race. Big challenge from Glenn Seton. You can see him coming out of the pits last time. Didn't quite get Scaife under brakes coming onto pit straight, but I think he's done him there. There he is there in the Ford Credit Falcon. So Seton pushes up another position. Lowndes, Jones, Brock, Bowe, Seton, Scaife, Longhurst, and Gardner, as a way of that crash off the start, has pushed right back to 8th position.
Craig Lowndes stretching that lead now over Alan Jones. In fact, the top 4, Lowndes, Jones, Brock and Bowe, just got a little bit of a break over Glenn Seton in 5th position. Mark Scaife hot on his heels. There's Alan Jones, winner here of the round 2 years ago when he was racing for the Glenn Seton team.
And probably the last time he won a round of the Touring Car Championship, I think, Wilco.
Well, it just shows how quick Lowndes is going. He's just set a new lap record. Previously a 58.07 to Seton. He's just done a 57.99, so Lowndes really taking it, the fight to the front of the V8s here. Blistering speed in these opening laps. Look at Brock. He just has a look down the inside of Alan Jones in the pack leader Ford. Most competitive run, and there's Romano's car. You can see the battle damage on the driver's door there. Paul's still in the car. He's trying to get back into the race.
He'd be very disappointed, really. I mean, it was no fault of his own. He was just, you know, trying to get away from the start, basically, and next thing you know, he's got Larry in the door.
Very strong qualifying performance, too, from Romano. 8th position. Pack leader Ford's very competitive at Wanneroo today. First frontline start for Alan Jones. There's Romano. He's getting back into the race, but he's a number of laps down. So that's a great shame. Meanwhile, front of the pack leader Ford team, Alan Jones up here in 2nd position and really taking the fight to the so far dominant Holden Racing Team Commodores.
And in behind this pair, John Bowe, and then Glenn Seton has closed up the gap, and he's on John Bowe's tail too.
Well, Lowndes slipped back to 58.5, Jones a 58.6.
In fact, Bowe's passed Seton, so he's moved up 1 spot.
Yep, Bowe is on a bit of a charge here too. He's struggling for tyres, John Bowe. He's got a remarkable mix. Look at Alan Jones, gets very sideways. Coming through the corner at the end of the straight. Brock wasn't able to take advantage, so Jones just managing to hold him out here.
And Alan's having to pedal fairly hard here. He looks to be holding Brock up a little bit. You can see Brock will have a look down the inside of him at coming into the sweeper that they're heading towards now and at the end of the straight. So Brock's carrying a little bit more car speed, but AJ's doing a really, really good job to qualify the car as well as he has. He's just moved on from Lakeside. You see Brock just have a little bit of a lock up there on the left-hand front.
Certainly.
And you know, the second here is a really good result for the team that have been operating together for a very short space.
It's fantastic watching that power down advantage of the Holden Racing team. Look at Brock up the inside. He's got Jones covered this time. The crowd go crazy as Brock pushes through on the inside of the pack leader Falcon. He gets back to third position. And it's a Holden Racing team 1-2. Once again, 5 laps completed for our race leader.
And back in the
just
field.
in the background, we saw Glenn Seton a little bit sideways there as he tries to duck down the inside of John Bowe.
And further back in the field, something's going to miss with Russell Ingle. He's dropped right back through the field. In fact, Craig Lowndes is going to lap him very shortly.
We take race cam aboard the Ford Credit Racing Falcon.
Now you can see this John Bowe's car. Look at it walking around on the tyres there. He's trying very hard. He's on the English tyres, and there's not many of them left. Oh, Glenn's just dropped a couple of wheels off on the dirt there on the left-hand side. Very easy thing to do as you come out of that corner. A little bit understeer, but he closes up again, and he's right on John here.
Well, you can see he's got a little bit more speed out of the critical cold corner, that big sweeper that sets up your terminal speed down this long straight.
Well, the Johnson's cars have traditionally had a bit more speed than Glenn's in a straight line, but as you see there, it's not all that evident. The Ford Credit car's obviously coming out of the corner well, and Glenn is really using all the road to try and get past JB. JB just assuming the defensive driving line there on the inside. Glenn goes out, takes a traditional line, and has another go at the back of Bowe.
A couple of seconds back behind this order's Mark Scaife and the Sega Commodore. So the field now, Lowndes, Brock, Jones, Bowe, Seton, Scaife, Longhurst, Gardner, Johnson in 9th, and Greg Crick first of the privateers in the Alcare Commodore in 10th position. But Bowe's really got his hands full here. As Bradley mentioned earlier, using the last of the UK tyres. There's his teammate Dick Johnson in trouble. Down through the Bridgestone loop at the end of pit straight. He's gathered it all up. That's pushed him right down the order. Was running 9th position.
Well, Dick's running on the Japanese tyres, which is they've had another go at making some, and a lot of the Dunlop guys are a little bit disappointed on the results. But back to Bowe, he and Seton here having a ding-dong battle, and I think it's only a matter of time. Glenn really needs to press on. He thinks he's still in the chance for a championship. Here we have Dick Johnson.
I think it was out of here, he got himself in trouble.
Yes, you can say that. But it was a slide and a spin there for Dick into the sand. He was lucky actually not to go right off and get it bogged there.
Very lucky. Probably locked the rear brakes a little bit into that corner. You heard a little bit of a chattering on the noise, and he was swinging the wheel around trying to correct it, but unfortunately the Shell FAI car just looped around once.
Teammate John Bowe for Shell FAI, the championship, the defending champion, but things are looking pretty grim now for 96 for him, with the challenger, the series leader for this year, Craig Lowndes, highballing way up in front, and him under pressure here, John Bowe from Glen Seton.
Well, coming into this championship round, he was 23 points down on Lowndes, which is quite extraordinary. I think Lowndes has won 11 races and 4 rounds. Bowe's only won 5 races and 1 round, and he's only 23 points behind him. It just shows the dogged consistency of Bowe throughout this championship, and he's still hanging on there, and he will fight right to the last lap.
Seton lining up for a look as they went through that corner.
Tony Longhurst coming up through the pack too, 7th position now, I think, behind Mark Scaife in the Castrol Falcon.
And the Coke Commodore just behind that pair, Wayne Gardner at the wheel.
Well, that's current placings you can see on the bottom of the screen there. Tony Longhurst coming under increased fire from Gardner in the Coca-Cola Commodore. Managed to survive that start line incident fairly unscathed.
Actually looks like he's holding Gardner up here. Gardner seems to have certainly a bit more speed than him through the sweeper, and running up to him there under brakes. The Coke team have been doing a lot of testing. The Neil Crompton car and Gardner's car that we see here are used extensively in the test program. Oh, and here we have Seton. Listen to those brakes squealing.
Oh, he went very, very, very deep into Yokohama corner that time. Not quite quick enough. Bowe just had enough real estate to sweep across in front of him. And because he was so slow out of that corner, he's lost a few car lengths. But I'm sure he'll be back there pretty quick. Here's Scaife in 6th position. 7th is Longhurst. Gardner in 8th. 6th, 7th and 8th. 2 Commodores and the Falcon locked in this battle. Tony Longhurst, you wouldn't blame him for having a little bit of a scare this morning. Lost a left rear wheel on the Castrol Falcon in the warm-up this morning.
Managed to keep it on the track, though.
And that comes just after that frightening steering failure in the Castrol Falcon at Lakeside a couple of weeks ago. So he's had a couple of equipment failures. And wouldn't blame him if he wasn't feeling too confident. Here comes Gardner, really quick into Kolb corner. They're side by side as they come through the sweeper. Longhurst still pretty quick on the exit, but if...
Pretty generous of Longhurst, really left a little bit of a hole there for Gardner to dive into, and I'd say the next one will be Gardner's corner. He'll be cutting him no slack whatsoever, and there goes the Chief into the lead.
Side by side into Yokohama corner, just enough speed to cover Longhurst. Longhurst coming back at him on the outside as they come across the start-finish line to complete 10 laps of this 20-lap race, half distance. So Gardner showing good speed here, good consistency out of the Coke Commodore as well.
Glenn Seton still hounding John Bowe.
Well, we said he'd climb back. He lost a bit of speed coming through Yokohama corner a couple of laps ago, but it didn't take him long to get back onto the tail.
Battle for 4th and 5th here.
John Bowe running an incredible mix of UK Dunlop tyres here. Here comes Seton, takes big advantage down the inside. You can hear how hard those brakes are working, squealing as he really buries the middle pedal.
It's a real tale of woe, isn't it, on tyres for the Shell FAI team. Johnson on these new Japanese Dunlops, which don't seem to work at all, and John Bowe on a mix, the remnants, the dregs of what's left of the English Dunlops.
Well, the difficulty they're having is that they're effectively doing their Bathurst tyre testing in race conditions, and while that might be effective in terms of sorting out the right case construction and compound, it certainly can affect your results. They're really struggling a bit here. Seton up the inside of Bowe. He goes back another position. So it's Lowndes, Brock, Jones, Seton, Bowe, Scaife, Gardner and Longhurst.
It's interesting watching from this race cam. You can see where Glenn gets on the power just a little bit coming out of the corner. You see Bowe close up a little bit then, but you watch Glenn will get on the power. Look at him driving away from the Shell FAA car now. He just can seem to get the power down so much earlier, and look at the gap he's pulled away now. There's, you know, I don't think John will be able to get back in touch with him to worry him.
It's interesting stuff. Seton's in 4th position in this first heat, and he is not out of this championship by a long haul. There's our race leader, Craig Lowndes, absolutely dominant at Wanneroo once again. Peter Brock in 2nd position. Alan Jones, good run at the pack leader Falcon. Glenn Seton in 4th. John Bowe hanging on in 5th. Don't go away. There's plenty more happening in the West when we return.
Car 99, Sean Walker, local proponent of V8 racing, and in trouble there. Just trying to clear the circuit, get out of the way, out of harm's way as the front runners come through. Still the battle 4th and 5th. Glenn Seton having overtaken John Bowe now into 4th place, but not able to get anywhere near the front running pair at the moment, and that's Holden Racing's Craig Lowndes and Peter Brock.
I think Mark Scaife too closing the gap as we take Seager Holden race cam. So he's just starting to zero in on the back of the Shell FAI Ford. Bowe struggling for grip. You can see the tail of the car sliding around quite noticeably on race cam. Mark Scaife. There's
no doubt that Scaife is closing in on Bowe, and JB wouldn't be thinking of it, but this, you know, this could be the end of the championship really for JB. It's an interesting shot. This. Have a look at the steering column flex when Scaife pulls a bit of lock onto the car. Give you an idea how much camber and cast the front of these cars run. As he turns on it hard, you can usually see the steering wheel flex up and down, and give you an idea just how hard these cars are to drive.
Mark Scaife, hard at work in the Seager Commodore. Very competitive at Wanneroo, as he has slowly starting to get some more speed out of the car during the year. Looking more and more competitive as we head toward Mount Panorama in October.
Well, he's certainly wrestling that car around there, and this is probably one of Scaife's better results for a long time. He's closing in on Bowe, and quite a good dice developing for 4th place.
What's interesting watching his lap times too, he's fairly consistently in the mid 59 second bracket, which is, you know, within a 10th or 2 of the times that Lowndes and Brock are currently cutting.
That's true, and we talk about the Dunlop competitors having tyre trouble. Well, it's the same for Mark Scaife and Tony Longhurst with their Yokohamas. They're experimenting all the time, trying different tyres, trying to come up with something that will work for them and ultimately be a good tyre to use at Bathurst.
So Scaife applying the pressure, just closing the gap to Bowe as the laps unfold. 14 laps completed out of 20. He may well do it before this race is completed.
Stephen Richards leads the privateers in this event and is doing a good job. In fact, a number of the privateers, Richards along with Greg Crick, they did extraordinarily well. They've both moved up now into the top 10. Stephen Richards holding down 9th, Greg Crick in 10th position, and they're not far adrift of Tony Longhurst.
Richards was able to force his way past Crick, who was the early top privateer. And as we've seen all year, very quick. Meanwhile, Mark Scaife's getting very serious, getting past John Bowe. As Seeger Holden race cam shows you, you're right in the hot seat. Back seat of the Seeger Commodore as he tries to find a way past Bowe. Bowe, meanwhile, hasn't given away too much room to Glenn Seton in front of him.
Which is a little surprising. We actually expected Glenn to skip away fairly quickly and close in on Jones, but there's not much going on there.
Well, it's interesting, both Bowe and Seton have slipped back into the 62nd bracket. Everyone else running in the mid-59s, including Scaife. He's putting on some good speed here.
At the moment, Scaife is the fastest car on the circuit, which is very encouraging for their program.
So 59.02 that last time around for Scaife. That is the fastest lap that time around. So either the HRT cars are easing off.
I think there's no doubt that they're easing off.
There's certainly a 3-second gap now back to Alan Jones in third position.
Whatever he's got the lot, Craig Lowndes, at the moment as we get down towards the conclusion of the 1996 Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. 2 rounds to go after this one here today at Wanneroo, and in this first heat he certainly looks like extending his championship lead. Peter Brock, the man who's done it all, has certainly had to grudgingly make way for his compatriot Lowndes in the Holden Racing team this season, but not without a fight. It's still there with Brock, and you wouldn't deny the man when he sets foot on any race circuit in the country.
Things just haven't gone right for him. He's actually qualified very strongly this year in comparison to his teammate Lowndes, and really had a lot of speed in the race, but the results just haven't been coming.
That's true, and I think after the first race at Eastern Creek, I mean, Craig did a fantastic job there, and he got maximum points, and really the team's focused on making Craig the champion this year. And Brock's, you know, done very well in his qualifying efforts and in a couple of the races, but he really just hasn't had the breaks that Craig's had. Craig's worked very hard to get to where he has. Yeah,
fair to say Brocky's had to work harder for what he's got.
Out of the 8 qualifying sessions so far, Peter's been faster than Craig on 4 occasions, and vice versa. So very evenly matched in terms of speed, these two drivers.
And I think the only thing that can probably stands between Craig and the championship now is, you know, he really needs a DNF to get John Bowe or Glenn Seton back in the race. But with no pressure on him like he's running around now, it's very hard to think that something, you know, could go wrong or he will make a mistake.
He sort of picked up the pace that last time around at 59.26, so not absolutely mucking around. But doing it very easy in the front, as you can see. If we look back through the field, there's Alan Jones in third position.
Which is another great performance. I mean, they're just getting stronger and stronger at each race meeting.
It's interesting looking at the back tyres of that car there, Brad. It looks like there's sort of like an oil mist or an oil stain on the outside rear wheel. There's a little bit of discoloration there. Not sure.
The Dick Johnson cars, yeah, and I was going to say an AJ's car have had a little bit of trouble with rear brakes, but there's definitely something going on there. Maybe it's a seal in the diff or something's just leaking a little bit of oil out onto the rim, but it certainly doesn't seem to be hampering his progress too much. And there's Greg Crick off. I'd say he's stuck there. Very disappointing for him. Fantastic job to be running in the top 10. He could end up getting out of this. Maybe.
The big sand trap down at Yokohama corner. That's the corner leading on to pit straight. Look at that. Managed to drive his way out. So, very lucky man. Not many people get out of these sand traps.
And next it was something you'd see Parramatta on a Saturday night. He certainly had the rooster tail shooting up out the back of it.
Okay, let's look at that again on replay. Crick getting in trouble. Look at it on a race cam. We'll lock up at brakes. He's off out into the sand. Fairly harmless spin with the massive sand trap there. And the bonus was he was able to drive out. Meanwhile, Holden Racing Team steamroller continues. 19 laps completed. And they're on their last. And as we saw at Lakeside 2 weeks ago, these Global Holden Racing Team Commodores just making it look so easy.
Real tour de force, and this is the man set to assume the touring car throne in Australia the way this season is running down. We go to Seeger Race Cam with Mark Scaife, and Wayne Gardner has slipped by him to move up another notch.
Which is really weird. Scaife's time has dropped off 2 seconds a lap, so he's obviously in a bit of trouble there, and Gardner would be very happy with that. He's brings him up to 7th, and here we head down towards the last corner on the last lap.
No trouble here, though, for Holden Racing with Craig Lowndes and Peter Brock nose to tail through the last corner and line up for the checkered flag. They've done it again, taken out Heat 1, Round 8, the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship at Wanneroo. A comfortable 1-2 for Holden Racing. Alan Jones now crossing the line in 3rd position. And, a real battle going on behind them. Glenn Seton crosses the line 4th. Gardner just edges out John Bowe for 5th place.
Just got him. Just got him. Very quick out of Yokohama corner the final time around. So Bowe loses even more crucial championship points.
No surprises on the Shell race score. Craig Lowndes the winner, Peter Brock 2nd, then Alan Jones, Glenn Seton in 4th spot, Wayne Gardner, what a finish for 5th.
John Bowe hanging on for 6th, Mark Scaife in 7th, Tony Longhurst in the Castrol Ford in 8th, Stephen Richards 1st of the Privateers, and Larry Perkins rounded out the 10.
That was Greg Crick. He experienced a few problems in heat number 1. Likewise, Russell Ingall.
Yeah, just a few. It's my first touring car shunt in a race, so it was interesting, I'll tell you.
The starting straight's not a very long one, and we, of course, go into the right-hander. It's incredibly close, isn't it?
Yeah, I must admit it was. There was 3 cars going into a 1-car corner, and she didn't quite work. You know, it was a shame because I got a really good start, got inside Gardner, past him, and got past Romano, and. You know, she would have been looking good for a good finish because we just checked the lap times then, and overall in the distance I was faster than Gardner, so you know, even though I was sort of lapping back, but you know, what can I say? At least we'll try and come through a bit now.
Yeah, a little bit of work ahead. Russell Ingall, we wish you all the best. Russell Ingall, as I said, does have a lot of work. There's some big guns up ahead. Let's have a look at the grid.
Well, Holden Racing are on the front row. Craig Lowndes and Peter Brock share the honours there. Alan Jones and Glenn Seton on the 2nd row. Row 3 occupied by Wayne Gardner and John Bowe. 4th row, Mark Scaife and Tony Longhurst. And the top 10 rounded out by Stephen Richards, the top privateer in Heat 1, and Larry Perkins.
Seconds away from the start of Heat 2. Round 8 of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. The Holden Racing team domination continues 1-2 on the grid as they wait for the green light. There's the green. Craig Lowndes makes his usual rocket start from pole position and will lead the pack down into the corner for the first time. Bowe gets through and Brock's through cleanly as well. Seton on the outside of the pack leader forward as they shuffle their way through the S's and up toward the hill for the first time. So Lowndes, another lightning start from pole position as he did in Heat 1. And he's got Peter Brock right behind him.
Rough ride there for Mark Scaife, bouncing off a few curbs as they were getting underway, but managing to maintain his position.
Down toward Cold Corner, Craig Lowndes very much in command of round 8 at Wanneroo here this afternoon. Peter Brock in 2nd. There's the pack leader forward of Alan Jones in 3rd, Seton in 4th, Bowe in 5th, Wayne Gardner in 6th, and Mark Scaife up behind the Coca-Cola Holden. So a good competitive run from these two as they come down toward Yokohama corner for the first time. Alan Jones flame belching from the exhaust of Bowe's car as they come across the start-finish line to complete 1 of 20 laps. Hard under brakes now for Bridgestone corner. Well, Seton looking strong and competitive here. He said he'll fight right to the last lap of the last race in this championship. Still lacking for a bit of horsepower in the championship chase this year, but he gets some new John Sidney built engines, maybe at Oran Park, but certainly for the endurance races to come. The Ford Credit Falcon looking more and more competitive as this championship unfolds.
Well, this is the same car that he drove to dominate this round here at Wanneroo last year. Same chassis anyway. It's had some pretty considerable engine modification since then.
Seton coming into this round with 218 points. 258 for Bowe ahead of him, 281 for Lowndes. So he's got a lot of work to do, but with a maximum of 180 points on offer coming into this round, there's still a chance. And as long as he's got that chance, Seton will keep fighting. Alan Jones just bumps a couple of wheels up on the ripple strip as he comes onto pit straight once again. Very impressive speed from the pack leader Fords. And I think, Bradley, this car is going to be looking very ominous at Bathurst.
I think he's would have to be happy with the progress that's made really over a short period of time. The last couple of races have basically come from nowhere to be right on the money for a Ford, and there's no love lost between Alan and Glenn. And, you know, they'd be fighting fairly hard for a position here, but both, I'd say, look, very strong chances for Bathurst.
was fascinating talking to Jim Stone, the engineer on Alan's car. Was saying yesterday they fully expected to come into this championship with Bridgestone tyres and just be instantly competitive, but they've basically had to re-engineer the car start from scratch.
In the car with Glenn Seton, the number 30 Ford Credit Falcon. His difficulty here is that he's in the 4th slot behind Alan Jones, and AJ's not going to do him any favours at all when he tries to get by, which obviously he's setting himself up to do sometime in the next couple of laps if he's going to have any chance of bridging the gap on the series leader, Craig Lowndes, at the head of the field.
Well, Lowndes 3 laps down, operating in the mid-58 second bracket at this stage, as too is Jones and Seton. Everyone behind them from Bowe backwards is up into the 59s already. So these 4 Bridgestone cars really proving the dominance of the Bridgestone tyres on this Wanneroo circuit. They've always been very strong here. That form is continuing in 96. Just looking at the back of Glenn Seton's car, John Bowe in 5th position. Boy, oh boy, Bowe's fighting like fury, but you really can see his championship slowly slipping away from him in the west today. Over the rise, building up to about 230 kilometres an hour before they brake very hard for Yokohama. Back through the gears, and look at Seton right up on the bumper of the pack. Jones gets a little bit sideways, and Seton keeps applying the pressure as they come across the line once again to complete 4 laps. Seton now getting very aggressive with his former teammate. Seton actually bumped into the back of the pack leader Falcon at Lakeside a couple of weeks ago, which bent an inlet into the radiator, caused the engine to overheat, so it would be a bit gun-shy in terms of trying to tap the back of Jones' car once again. You can see the back of the car get a little bit sideways and tries to get the power on over the top of the hill.
The car certainly is oversteering a little bit, which is an amazing thing. On most tyres, you know, when you do that and have the car sliding around the back, it burns them up, but the Bridgestone seems to be able to put up with it.
So the Holden Racing team bolting away, opening a bit of a gap over this battle for 3rd and 4th position. We've got Bowe, Gardner, Scaife, Longhurst, Perkins and Richards up behind them. We take race cam in the Ford Credit Racing Falcon with Glenn Seton as he tries to wear down Alan Jones. Very quick out of Yokohama corner, using all the road and then some as they pop the wheels up on the ripple strip on the way out.
Certainly able to outbrake him and looks to be carrying more corner speed across the corner, but AJ just gets on the gas, pulls to the inside and makes it a little bit harder for Glenn to try and find his way around.
Difficulty for Glenn Seton is here that he's got John Bowe closing the gap inexorably on him, and Wayne Gardner not far off the tail of John Bowe's car. So if he can't get by Alan Jones pretty soon, this gap could close up. We're going to have a titanic 4-way tussle for these positions.
Well, we said in the earlier race, John Bowe running quite a hodgepodge of different UK tyres. I think he was saying to me yesterday he's got a different compound on every corner of the car, just using up the last of the tyres that were produced by the Birmingham factory for last year's season.
And unfortunately for John, he wore out a left side rear in that earlier race, which is probably one of the reasons he was dropping back a little bit. Wayne Gardner, who was caught up in a bit of a mix-up in the first race there, where he and Russell Ingall had a bit of a touch and Russell went off the road. It was just one of those things. Russell was on the dirt and tried to get back on the inside. Now we've got Seton, who's just gone past Jones, and looking through the race cam, Jones is dropping back at such a rate, I'd say he's got a problem.
I thought for all the world it was Larry Perkins caught up in that first race incident. They disappeared off the track in a cloud of dust. Fortunately for Larry, he came out of it unscathed and finished in the top 10, finished 10th, in fact, in that heat. But boy, oh boy, Gardner and Ingall were both pretty hot under the collar about it.
Now, there's something going on here with Jones's car. Now, Seton comes down. Oh, brake lock up, big front brake lock up by Alan Jones there. I thought there might have been something wrong with the car at the pace that he went by.
Jones' teammate Paul Romano has just come into the pit lane as well, and here comes Bowe down the inside. Yeah, Jones must have a problem here.
Well, I'd say his problem quite possibly would be that tyre, you know, or the brakes. He certainly doesn't want to relent and give JB that position, but that tyre would be flapping, bang, 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 every time it goes round, and he'd be aware of that. He can't afford another brake lock-up because quite possibly it went down through the canvas. Whether or not he has a brake problem as well, which they have been suffering from for the last couple of races, we're not sure, but it's certainly affected his speed. And
since getting by, Glenn Seton has absolutely scooted away and left this trio for dead by about 60, 70 metres.
last time around, Seton actually fired off a lap a couple of tenths quicker than the Holden Racing Team duo up front. So Glenn's got plenty of speed aboard in Heat 2. He's opening up the gap to this battle as well. Wayne Gardner looking consistent and competitive. Certainly had a strong showing in the first heat. He's right up behind the pack leader Ford now, running with Bowe in tandem as they try and clean up the Queensland-based Ford of Alan Jones. So Jones apparently coping with some sort of problem. He's not knocking his speed around too much. He's hanging on to Bowe. He's coming under fire from Gardner.
Half the length of the main straight between the front runners Lowndes and Brock and this trio.
So Lowndes, Brock, Seton, Bowe. As they switch up toward the hill once again. Just behind that group is Mark Scaife. So we take Seager Holden race cam, showing you that battle. Scaife in 7th. He's got Longhurst, Perkins and Richards behind him. So a number of different battles raging throughout the top 10. Look, Alan Jones trying a run down the inside there on race cam, didn't quite pull it off.
The race leader, Craig Lowndes, and he's doing it well from teammate Peter Brock. 1-2 this stage in the second heat. Glenn Seton in 3rd spot, John Bowe is 4th, and Alan Jones in 5th place.
Jones in the pits.
Wow, that was fantastic. Jones and Gardner banging into one another down the straight there, and Jones is in. I'd say he's in for tyres. He's just pulled up just in front of us. But that's opened the door for Gardner, who's now chasing. Yep, there it is. It's the left front. That was the problem. Now, when he locked that brake for such a long time, it goes through the canvas, and as I said, it could have been going down, but it certainly would have been knocking his speed around his ability to brake.
Well, he's steamed up about that big smoky slide as he gets the power on out of pit lane to try and get back into this battle, but he's lost a lot of time. Craig Lowndes, meanwhile, Peter Brock behind him as they run away once again. 3.5 seconds the gap last time around over Seton. So we look at this wide shot and show you how the field has become quite spaced out at the front. Here's Seton hanging on in 3rd position. If he can bring another 3rd home here, these points will be very valuable. But boys, if Lowndes continues to scoop up lots of 20 points at the front, no one's going to be able to touch him.
And in behind him, the danger for John Bowe is that he's under attack from Wayne Gardner, and if he drops another place, he drops more points, and his chances in the championship are just out the window.
Glenn Seton. Car looking strong and balanced. Wanneroo Park this afternoon.
Slightly chipping away at the lead.
Glenn Seton, it's been a good track for him. Wanneroo came here and won the championship round here last year, but by gee, the blokes up front have got a little bit on you thus far today, Glenn. Glenn can hear me, but we can't hear him. Problem with the microphone there in Glenn Seton's car, unfortunately. Uh-oh. What have we got here?
Russell Ingall, he's certainly in the wars today, shaking his head. After that little touch, as we mentioned in the start of the first heat, it looks like he's torn the front off it somewhere. I'm not sure whether he's gone off or...
Let's go back to Glenn Seton. Glenn, you can hear us this time. The blokes up the front just got a little bit too much on you at this stage.
There they have, Garry. It's pretty hard to try and catch them. We're pushing things flat out all the way, but I think they're playing with us up the front.
Where do you think your car's lacking in comparison to the HRT cars, Glenn?
Just traction.
Yeah.
Traction, and at the moment, horsepower, we haven't got a lot of power at the moment, but we've got a new engine coming on stream that John Sydney is working on, and it's looking very promising, so I'm looking forward to the endurance races.
Glenn, I'm sure you don't share secrets, but do you run the same compound as the HRT cars? You know, your tyres the same sort?
Yeah, they've got the same compound this weekend, so they didn't at Lakeside, but this weekend they have, so it's a pretty equal comparison at the moment.
So how is it their traction so much better than yours?
They've got it right and I've got it wrong, I suppose.
Oh, interesting.
Not going to get any more out of you than that.
Fantastic job running 3rd, Glenn. We'll let you go.
Yeah, thanks, Brad.
Glenn Seton hanging on in this championship as he tries to close the gap to the Holden Racing Team steamroller out in the front. Meanwhile, John Bowe coming under increasing fire from Wayne Gardner. This is the battle for 4th and 5th position.
And it's the Dunlop battle, really, to see who's going to win that. See the front of Bowe's car just bouncing up and down as he comes under brakes there. A little bit of shock control. But these cars, oh, you know, it looks like Bowe's car is sliding around a lot at the moment. We see the tail step out there when he gets back on the noise. And Gardner would be seeing all this and he'd be planning a move. JB's definitely hard to get around, but he did it just on the start-finish line, the last one, and we'll see what happens here.
Well, as that battle continues, we've got Andy Raymond with Russell Ingall in the pits.
Yeah, quite a disappointed Russell Ingall too, Mark Oastler. Russell, some work being done on the front of the car. Obviously, a bingle and the temperature's gone up and it's a bit out of control.
Yeah, I had a touch with a couple of cars at the front and off the start, and it tore the front bumper off. I think pieces were gradually coming off and it wasn't getting any air to the radiator, so she started to overheat, so it's too risky. I mean, the engines are too expensive to stay out there, so came in and park it, but I'll tell you what, I've hit everything not standing at the moment. I hope this is my one and only weekend of this effort.
Only get out of the way in case you hit me. We'll see you in heat number 3.
That's right, thanks.
Good move, AJ. Over the top of the hill, Bowe, he's got Gardner behind him, and while these two have been carving each other up, I think Scaife has managed to close the gap a little bit behind them, with Longhurst and the Castrol Falcon as well. We've got Perkins, Richards and Ellery making out the top 10. So Bowe trying to fend off a Coke attack from Wayne Gardner. A lot of people didn't realise that horrific smash of Bowe's at Phillip Island, he is actually resulted in lacerated kidneys. He's driving with a kidney belt over the last couple of races, and he really did take a hammering in that crash.
And Budgie, look at this, Stephen Richards, the leading privateer in this race, right on Larry Perkins' hammer. This is the battle for 8th, 9th, and just in behind them, Stephen Ellery in 10th spot, so there's action aplenty in the second heat.
Yeah, there's a real battle going on here in the Privateers Cup, because there's our Privateers Cup points leader, Stephen Richards, with Stephen Ellery second in the points right behind him. So there's a battle within a battle happening here. Ellery will not want to let him get away.
Stephen Richards is very talented and a very aggressive young driver, and he'd be quite happy to be giving Larry Perkins a bit of hurry up here.
I think he'd be even happier to be in front of him, Wilco, and the way he's driving at the moment, it's very possible. It's a very small team that work unbelievably hard. They also run a super touring car, and at the moment they seem to be racing every weekend, but with that he's had a bit of a bad run off that ripple strip, which has opened the door for Ellery here.
Look at this big attack from Ellery, not quite fast enough in a straight line to get inside the Valvoline Commodore. And meanwhile, yeah, as we said, Scaife has managed to close the gap in this scrap between Gardner and Bowe. So now we've got a threesome. Seeing a Holden race cam takes you to the tail of this battle. Scaife currently running in 6th, Gardner in 5th, Bowe in 4th.
Which is slowly unwinding to be very similar to the first race, where 3/4 of the way into the race, Mark Scaife's package seemed to be working very well. So well, in fact, he was the fastest car on the circuit, and we see Gardner pull to the inside there to make sure Scaife can't get down there under brakes.
Well, it's effectively 2 battles, isn't it, Brad? There's the Bridgestone battle at the front, and then there's the battle for everyone else.
Well, there's actually 3. There's the HRT battle, the Bridgestone, and then everybody else.
Larry Perkins, not Larry Perkins, Tony Longhurst is right in behind this trio as well.
Scaife getting very close to the back of the Coke Holden.
So not only is he watching Gardner out the front, but he'll have one eye in the mirror watching Longhurst, wondering where he's going to appear next. So difficult situation to be in, but Scaife's handling it quite well, and all over Gardner.
The 2 Yokohama cars, Ford and Holden, both hooked up together. Longhurst now has been involved with Yokohama's tyre development program, giving a bit of extra input in terms of what tyres the Falcon requires. And slowly but surely they're getting their act together. I'm sure that mountain at Bathurst is what they're focusing on.
Well, if you look at it from a parity point of view, the 2 Yokohama leading factory teams, if you will, are running neck and neck, and the Dunlop's on Gardner's car and the Dunlop on Bowe's car, and then you look at Bridgestone, and HRT just seem to be cruising away in front of Glen Seton. So
these guys just passing the start-finish line, 17 laps completed for them, and of course for the front runners, Lowndes and Brock, 3 to go.
Yeah, it's just extraordinary how easy HRT are making this look. They're just in another class in this field. Domination that we really haven't seen before in 5-litre touring car racings in the 4 years of operation.
And of course Glen Seton running around on his own at the moment. Daylight between the top 2 cars and himself, and then daylight from him back to this group.
Oh, look at Gardner down the inside of Bowe.
Very nice move.
He's been trying to set that up for a few laps, but just might have been a bit of a little nudge from Bowe on the way out.
And Gardner needs to get back over to the inside to block Bowe down the end of this straight as he moves across. Bowe's car's sliding around so much. Looks like he's used up his quota of tyres again in this race, and he'd just be hanging on for grim life so he can collect as many points as possible.
Considering he's only got those 8 tyres to pick from, he's got to try and pick the best of the worst for Heat 3, so he's probably going to be in more trouble.
That's true. Without confusing all the viewers with the tyre rule, if you blister one or have a very bad flat spot, you get 1 new tyre, which is actually quite a bonus, but you know, it needs to be more than just worn out, and so you'd be hoping, I guess, if you were John Bowe, that you blister a tyre in his heat.
Mark Scaife looking for a way by Bowe here too, if he can get it, because time's running out.
Just a fabulous view on race cam, looking over the shoulder of Scaife, working at the wheel.
JB blocks to the inside, so there's not a hole there for anyone to drive into, and look at the back of that car, it's just shaking around. He's getting wheel spin as he gets on the throttle there, and it just enables Scaife just to catch up that little bit and make his life a bit hard in the next corner.
Last lap board has gone out for the race leaders, Lowndes and Brock. They're past the start-finish line, and this battle just coming round the home turn across the start-finish line with 1 lap to go for them.
See how much kickback through the wheel when they get these things up on the ripple strips. Quite a difficult thing to hang on to. Look at Scaife trying to look down the inside of Bowe. He's right alongside.
Doesn't get much closer to this.
Just not enough. He had the bumper to bumper turning in there, but just not enough real estate to make a move. But he's just been climbing all over the back of Bowe's car. He could well make a move before this final lap is completed. Tony Longhurst too is well within firing distance. And he's very close to Scaife as they come over the hill for the final time. This will be interesting as they come down to Kolb Corner.
Well, that's taken the heat off Bowe.
Yep, Scaife trying to defend his position as well as attack the one in front. He's a very busy boy in Heat 2. Longhurst gets a good quick run out of that corner too. He's right up behind the Sega Commodore as they come over the hill for the final time.
Meantime, HRT are lapping it up, and Lowndes takes the checkered flag 1.5 inches in front of Peter Brock.
A deja vu for HRT. Coke there now. Seton should have finished third.
He has.
And here comes Bowe managing to hold out Scaife. But Wayne Gardner getting the better of the Shell FAI Ford driver.
The championship is just about set in concrete for Craig Lowndes. Winner again from Peter Brock, Glenn Seton in 3rd spot, then Wayne Gardner, John Bowe in 5th position.
In 6th, Mark Scaife, Tony Longhurst in 7th, Larry Perkins in 8th, Stephen Richards, first of the privateers in 9th, and Stephen Ellery in position 10.
The HRT party continues. Peter Brock, is that the closest finish in touring car history?
Well, I was looking at his door pillars, trying to line them up. They've got a parallax area. I thought, I reckon Craig's got to try about, you know, X amount. So that's good, yeah.
Gee, it must be tempting, though.
Oh, yes, it's tempting. But no, I said that my car worked brilliantly that race, and I thought it was probably a little bit better balanced than Craig's. I mean, I could sort of hang in there very easily, and I thought, I might have a go past. No, it's cool. No, Craig's looking good here.
Craig, everything's working well.
Yeah, the cars are fantastic. As Peter said, I think mine was a little bit squirmish than Peter's. I sat there and we sort of slowly pulled away from the rest of them, which was a confident feeling. And
he threw a couple of rocks at me. Just to keep me honest.
Now, a lot has been said about Team HRT and the dominance. Is it a simple case of you guys are doing your homework maybe a little bit better than the others?
Oh, I'm certain of that. I mean, and also you go through periods in race team development where everything comes your way, and at the moment, I mean, Bridgestone are giving us sensational tyres, there's no doubt about that. We've got a guy there that's done a lot of work on shockers. The engine guys have cleaned up the engine program and given us a little bit more power. All in all, the team's just working extremely well. And I guess we look at people like Larry, and honestly, a lot of people would be tempted to have a bit of a laugh up their sleeve, but, you know, we all go through those periods of time that Larry's going through, and, you know, you usually come back harder than ever, so we're hoping to hold the form through Bathurst, of course.
Peter, is it now a case of protecting the kid? Making sure playing rear gunner, I guess?
Yeah, yes, absolutely, yes. I mean, you try to do that, and a couple of good runs here today have helped me just sit in behind there. But also, it's interesting from a driving point of view. I mean, Craig's a hot shot. He's young, he's keen, and everything else. So it gives me something to do. You know, saying, "I'll hang on to this guy. I'll give him a bit of a needle along," and that keeps the team honest too. I mean, it's not as if we're just cruising around and saying, "Well, it's all so easy." the team needs to sort of work hard to continue success.
Well, guys, to you and your team, our hats really are off to you. You're doing an outstanding job. Peter Brock and Craig Lowndes dominating. Will it be HRT in heat number 3? Join us in a second.
They certainly are. Garry Wilkinson, Craig Lowndes and Peter Brock. Well, it's been happening for quite a while now. There they are, row 1 alongside each other. Row 2, Glenn Seton and Wayne Gardner moving up the order in the Coca-Cola Racing Commodore. Row 3, John Bowe and the Shell FAI Ford and Mark Scaife alongside him. Row 4, Tony Longhurst and Castrol Falcon and Larry Perkins in the Castrol Commodore. Row 5, Stephen Richards and rounding him out, Stephen Ellery in the Ellery Motorsport Falcon EF.
Bad news for Dick Johnson. He's had some trouble with his car today, been working on it, didn't get out there to grid up for this race. He's going to have to start from the pit lane after the rest of the field goes by. Now, there they are, lined up on the grid. 17 plus Dick, 18 starters for this third and final heat. Round 8 of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship from Wanneroo in Perth. Can the HR team, Lowndes and Brock, do it again with a 1-2 performance?
Seconds away now, just waiting for the starter. Hand in the air with less than 10 seconds from the start of heat 3. Holden Racing Team, front row. Glenn Seton could split them off the second row. Look at Wayne Gardner out there on the second row. They get the green light. Very strong start once again from Craig Lowndes. Jumps in front of his teammate. Seton locks into third position. Gardner's in fourth. There goes Dick Johnson leaving his starting position from pit lane at the back of the pack. And Gardner's gone around. A big spin from Gardner through the Bridgestone loop.
He's taken somebody with him.
Is that one of the Castrol?
Yeah,
cars?
it's Larry.
Car 11, Larry Perkins. So, oh, goodness me. Every time Wayne Gardner looks like he's getting toward the front of the field, something happens. Damage. Front left rear corner. Let's look at that again on race cam replay. There's Longhurst Castrol Falcon in front of him as they come through Bridgestone Loop. And you can see Gardner there, whether he was pushed or whether he spun, not sure, but he's coming across the track and kapow! Larry's race cam in the front spoiler of the Castrol Commodore finishes off the replay for us. A big impact there.
Oh, poor old Larry, nothing he could do there. It was just all in front of him and no way to avoid it. And he's parked off on the infield. He'll be a very disconsolate man.
So here we go again. Deja vu for HRT, as we've seen in the previous 2 heats today. Out in the front of the pack, now we've got a car in trouble. It could be Stephen Richards if we could just...
Yeah, it was. Stephen Richards went right off the side of the track there, almost up the pit lane, but back onto the main part of the circuit.
So drama upon drama. That opening lap, this field sorting itself out. Didn't put a scratch on this pair though. Holden Racing Team.
Nothing's put a scratch on this pair today.
Nothing can touch them. And Craig Lowndes, of course, with his perfect point score, has now opened it up after that second heat, 45 points ahead of John Bowe.
Wayne Gardner coming into the pits after that first lap altercation. In fact, yes, he's just stopped at the end of the pit lane at his normal pit bay for some quick work on the car. There it is.
Tyre changes, I would have thought.
I don't know how many black cats Wayne Gardner's seen in his life or how many ladders he's walked under, but boy, he has got bad luck by the bucket load.
He's got damage on the left side front there, which would make you tend to think that someone's moved across or he's clipped someone in the back there that's probably helped him spin.
Mechanics get to work with some hammers trying to bash the damaged bodywork away from the wheels so they can at least continue. But all hope lost of getting a strong position. It was looking so good for Gardner, up to fourth position, slowly moving his way through the field in the previous 2 heats. And,
disappointing for the Coke team. They're focused on one car to try and get a better result, and unfortunately doesn't seem to be happening for him at the moment.
Back on the track with 2.5 laps gone. Craig Lowndes, the leader from Peter Brock. Glenn Seton is in third place, followed by defending champion John Bowe. Then Mark Scaife, Tony Longhurst in the Castrol Falcon. Greg Crick. So the privateers, by virtue of that incident first lap, have managed to move up a few placings. Greg Crick, Stephen Ellery are both up there running in 7th and 8th positions.
Sean Walker in trouble. The local guy having a run here when the V8s came to town, but he's having trouble there. Big puff of smoke from the car, something terminal.
Fairly terminal.
And he's out of the race, unfortunately. And this bloke is not looking like anything like being out of the race. In fact, look at this point situation. He's now opened up to 45 points ahead of Bowe, and some 32 points further behind Bowe is Glenn Seton. So Lowndes continuing his domination at the front. There's Scaife and Longhurst. Longhurst Interesting watching this, Bradley, the progress of these two Yokohama shot cars. They just seem to be starting to make some progress.
Well, they are, and fairly evenly matched too, I might say. It certainly doesn't seem to be much difference between the Holden and the Ford. We've got Gardner back on the track now, but unfortunately a couple laps down.
Well, it's incredible what's happened to that car, that driver combination this year. A number of occasions been poised to pounce, and either through some sort of freakish technical failure or an on-track incident, it's managed to rob him of gaining some points. Incredibly rough season for Gardner. There's a car heading into the pit lane. It's one of the Shell Fords. It's John Bowe, in fact, coming down pit lane, car 1.
See it on the right of screen there as the cars go out of shot. We pan round with them. Mark Scaife and Tony Longhurst still battling it out.
Well, I think that could have been a stop-and-go penalty for John Bowe. They
held out the black flag, so
yeah,
must have been some sort of an infringement in those opening few laps.
He is back on the track.
Well, if his championship wasn't over before, it certainly is looking like it is now. He really will be disappointed with that and needs to get back through the field as fast as he can to try and get a result.
Stop-go penalty for John Bowe. Meanwhile, we take race cam with Mark Scaife, Seeger Holden race cam.
He's in 4th position now. Tony Longhurst 5th.
Now, if we just watch him as he changes a gear, see how his right foot's flat on the throttle. He'll go for another gear in a minute. Dab of the clutch, keeps the throttle flat. Dab of the brakes there, just to pump the brake pedal up, make sure it's there. Back to the gear he wants, turns into the corner. Bang, back on the gas there again. Grabs another gear. Fantastic stuff.
There may be some people at home, Bradley, wondering how you can change without having to take your foot off the accelerator.
Well, they have a cutout on the revs at, about, well, the 8,000 is the legal one, and his will be about 100 short of that, which they calls a soft cut. He just dips the clutch and the car sits on the rev limiter and he grabs the gear.
So the stop-go penalty board is out again, but I can't see a car number. Andy Raymond, in fact, is down there, and we're endeavouring to find out.
So the order, Lowndes just half a second up on his teammate Brock. Seton a further almost 2 seconds behind Scaife. This man in 4th position. Then we have Tony Longhurst in 5th. Alan Jones in 6th position. Then Ingle, Ellery, Crick and Romano. That's the top 10.
And Bowe's dropped to 12th out of the points.
It was not the sort of penalty notice he wanted to see in Heat 3 as he hangs on by his fingernails to this championship battle.
Quite a marginal call too. Oh, there's Gardner. He's back in the pits. Obviously a bit more damage done to the car than they first thought, and that's it. He's out of the race.
Just incredible situation for the Coke team. For 3 years in the almost 3 years in the championship, still without a championship heat win and some unbelievably bad luck along the way. Just wondering when their luck will turn. Here's our man Mark Scaife in 4th position. This is a pretty strong performance from Scaife. He's been struggling for grip throughout the year, trying to get some car speed. Oh, look at this. Greg Crick in the Alcare air conditioning Commodore. Up ahead of this bunch, there's Crick in 9th position. You've got Romano, Johnson, Bowe, and Larkham in there too, coming through the pack. Crick opening up a bit of a gap. Romano, the young Queensland teammate of Alan Jones in the pack leader Ford. We take Dunlop race cam with Dick Johnson. He's been struggling all day on a set of development tyres from Japan, which haven't worked out the way he liked. But he ducks down the outside of Romano, sweeps across in front of the pack leader Ford, and moves up another position. So it's Crick, Romano, Johnson and Bowe. That's the positions, 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th, just battling outside the top 10. There's Stephen Richards in the Valvoline Cummins Commodore as well. So plenty of cut and thrust for the minor positions.
Andy Raymond has got some information for us, I think, finalising the situation regarding Wayne Gardner.
Yeah, the nightmare continues for Wayne Gardner. You can see behind me the Coca-Cola car, the number 4 car. Wayne's actually out of the car. He's had enough today. He was penalised a stop-go for rolling at the start. Same was the case with John Bowe.
That's what the other board was out for. Okay, well, the tale of woe continues. Oh, Peter Brock. What's happened here? He's slowed right down.
Yep, Lowndes has just passed our commentary position on the start-finish line. Here's Brock just limping down the hill toward Yokohama corner. So we saw a technical failure with this car in Heat 3 at Lakeside a couple of weeks ago, and here we are, Heat 3 again, and Brock's in trouble. He may well come into pits here. Switches across the other side of the track, indicator on, and Brock coming into pit lane. Well, that's a surprise.
Unbelievable, really. I mean, Brock's, that's the second failure he's had in 2 races, and I guess they would be very appreciative of the fact that it's happening to this car.
This elevates Glenn Seton to 2nd place. Mark Scape now 3rd, followed by Tony Longhurst, then Alan Jones, Russell Ingall. But of course, Craig Lowndes, the man they've still got to catch, winner of 2 heats so far today.
Well, no doubt Andy Raymond will be down there fairly shortly to find out what the problem is.
I noticed that they're wriggling around down near where the gear change is, so possibly the car's stuck in gear, or the gear lever might have broken or something like that. Oh, here we go. Jones.
Romano.
Romano down the inside of Crick.
And look, he's also jumping into the back of this pack. Mark Larkham in the Mitre 10 Ford. He's got Stephen Richards in the Valvoline car behind him.
It's good that Larko's getting a bit of speed out of the car. They've worked extensively on this car over the summer and into our series to try and get the thing up to speed. And up Stephen Richards down the inside of Larko there.
Had a wretched season so far, though, Mark Larkham, hasn't he?
Well, he has. You know, they've developed the car and they built it from nothing, and they had a new crew, so very hard to expect them to be on the podium to start with.
Oh,
dear me, not much room there.
Battle of the Privateers. Keep in mind that Crick and Richards are all in contention for the Auto Action Privateers Cup this year. Points very close at the top. Richards currently leading, but Crick is still in there with a shake, so he won't want to give any territory up to this man. So they come up over the rise once again. They push this Crick back. So the situation now is getting very, very tight. But here at the front, he continues to dominate. Craig Lowndes right out on his own. Glenn Seton in 2nd position. Scaife now moves up to 3rd. Tony Longhurst up to 4th. And Alan Jones in the pack leader Ford up to 5th. Don't go away. There's plenty more after the break.
Welcome back to Wanneroo Raceway. Behind me, a very dejected Peter Brock taking off his helmet. With me is the Holden Racing Team Manager, Jeff Gretsch. Jeff, gear selection problems?
Yes, something's gone wrong in the drive line. I mean, it's hard to assess in the middle of a race, but yes, it is a problem. It's no good persevering with it because we might do more damage, so we'll assess it after the race and hopefully be there again next weekend.
And everything was looking so good?
Yes, it was. It's a disappointment to the team, but I guess that's the way it goes. I mean, we have to learn from this and make sure it doesn't happen again.
Well, we'll see Craig Lowndes in the winner's circle.
Thank you.
The battle for 3rd, 4th and 5th continues on the track. Mark Scaife, Tony Longhurst and Alan Jones. Craig Lowndes leading, of course, Glenn Seton in 2nd place.
Yeah, tremendous battle this. Alan Jones, after that stunning performance in qualifying where he got himself up, was just about sitting on pole position for most of the session until Lowndes put his 2nd set of tyres on and pulled out a blinder. Jones really squeezing a lot of speed out of this car, and that's toward the right end of the season too. So locked in this battle now, 3rd, 4th and 5th position. Mark Scaife will be pretty happy with this too. Had a pretty tough season so far, came into this round only 9th in the championship points. Oh, look at down the inside, Jones. Longhurst almost left the door open for him there. Jones scoots down the inside, didn't need much more of an invitation than that. Displaces Longhurst, so that moves him up to 4th position. So the order now, Lowndes, Seton, Scaife, Jones and Longhurst as they reel off another lap.
And spare a thought for John Bowe. He is in 9th position, and any chance of him defending his championship is just sliding straight out the window.
That's true, but the interesting thing about motorsport, Wilco, is it's never over till it's over. And if that had been Craig's car with the gear selection problem, well, then JB be back in the championship. So, we can't entirely discount the fact that JB's in there, but he's certainly only hanging on by his fingernails at this point.
Keep in mind, too, with Mallala and Oran Park ahead of us, there is still a maximum of 120 points available. If Bowe can continue to pick up the scraps down the back of the pack, he's just hanging on to that lead of Lowndes. 45 points, the gap between Lowndes and Bowe before the start of this heat. Here comes Jones down the inside. He's done it again. Just makes it look so easy. But Scaife, as Sega Race Cam shows you, coming back on the attack. Up the inside, he got a very good run out of the loop. They'll go side by side over the top, building up to 230 kilometres an hour before they break for Yokohama corner. Jones on the outside, Scaife on the inside, but he has to give way to the flying Ford and moves back another position.
Oh, Jonesy hits the curb quite hard there.
So Scaife cutting times in the 59.7s. Lowndes just reeled off an identical time of 59.7, so they're running at the race leading pace, but it's just that gap opened up over the first few circuits that they're having a lot of trouble trying to bridge. Meanwhile, a bit further back in the pack, Dick Johnson
Yep, how you doing, guys?
Oh,
Doing better than you.
Oh, tell me about it.
I think we've got a much easier job sitting in a commentary box than what you're doing at the moment.
Oh, mate, this is like dead sad. I've got about as much grip as a dog on lino here.
So we said before, it is pretty tough for you and Dunlop trying to develop your Bathurst compounds in a race situation.
Yeah, that's a bit of a tough deal, but somebody had to do it. And I grew the short straw, I suppose.
Well, I guess you've been behind the 8 ball since that earthquake in Cobo. You're still trying to catch up.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I thought I might go and spend a couple of nights down the speedway. I'm used to that much opposite lock now.
You reckon you'd be able to handle a sprint car at the moment?
Mate, I would be absolutely dynamite.
There's a few speedway guys that want to take you up on that.
I don't know, mate. I'll just wait and see.
Dick, only 2 rounds of the championship to go after this. Looking pretty tough for JB to defend his title now.
Oh, tough, all right. He's doing real hard, I tell you. He's basically in the same sort of situation as me. This is a very difficult track for tyres. You know, it really knocks him around something fierce.
Well, looks like you're struggling there, mate, but keep going because you never know what's going to happen.
Oh, you don't know the meaning of the word struggle.
All right, Dick, catch you later, pal.
Okay.
Meanwhile, another of our Ford campaigners, Glenn Seton, he'd be a bit happier than Dick Johnson, currently up in 2nd position now. 15 laps completed as they finish this lap. And just monitoring the point situation, 32 points behind Bowe. There's a further 45 behind Lowndes, so he's got a lot of points to pick up. He's going to rely on a very bad situation for Lowndes over the next 2 rounds if he was ever going to be in a situation where he could win the championship. But Bradley Jones said before, it's not over till it's over. And Seton will keep fighting to that last lap.
He certainly will, but I mean, the other thing I guess we have to acknowledge is the fact that HRT are in a different league. I mean, it's a bit like...
well, even Glenn said that, didn't he?
Yeah, they're out there with a Williams Formula 1 car and everyone else is in touring cars at the moment. They've certainly, whatever they've got going, it's working a lot better than what anyone else can come up with, and Craig will have to either make a mistake or have a breakage to falter.
Yes, when Seton comes down toward Dick Johnson slowing down. He come back, just spoke to him on race cam. He was having all sorts of trouble with...
looks like he's got some further problem.
With grip. Apparently, word from the pits is he's losing oil pressure as well, so if he hasn't had a bad enough day already, that'll really cap it. Loss of oil pressure, apparently, in Shell FAI car 17. Dick Johnson will try and limp it back to the pits. And I'd say by the end of this race, he'd be quite happy to put the car back on the trailer.
Well, he hasn't had a great weekend, and well, none of the team have, I guess. And it's just one of those things, you can't do much about it. You've got no oil pressure, you have to stop.
Tim Slako just sliding by there as Johnson pulls into the pits. That's the end of the day, end of the race for Dick Johnson. Meantime, back among the privateers, Stephen Ellery in car 52.
Yes,
running 8.
Stephen's our top place privateer at the moment. He's Stephen Richards back in 10th position, Romano splitting them. So Stephen Ellery fighting hard to stay in this battle for the Privateers Cup this year. And even though he's behind Richards in the points, we'll see how this shakes out at the end of this round, but he may have just been able to close the gap. Strong, controlled drive, the Chalgo Falcon. And had quite a good deal of success switching to the V8 category this year. Not doing it a lot of bucks, but he's teamed up with Tony Longhurst's Castrol operation. Helps them share costs, transport costs, accommodation, things like that. That's a very effective arrangement for both those teams. And there is his teammate Tony Longhurst. He's making great inroads here, coming up behind Scaife, snapping at his heels. This is the battle for 4th and 5th. Lowndes, Seton and Jones ahead of them. Down toward Cold Corner once again, 17 laps completed. This will be 18 when they come across the start-finish line. Longhurst, after those equipment failures at Lakeside, and indeed, as you said earlier, lost a left rear wheel in the warm-up this morning. A bit disconcerting for a driver when you're driving a car at speeds in excess of 200 kilometres an hour, but he's really fighting back here.
Got the lights on.
This is an interesting car that's appeared this weekend. The only time we'll probably see it this year, car 31, Grant Johnson.
This is the former Alf Barbagallo car that Grant Johnson has taken over, 22 years of age, a local boy, and done most of his racing in V8 street car category over here in the West. This car's had one outing prior to this in a race here in April, in which he finished 2nd outright, and he's been out here doing a lot of testing and running around under the 60-second lap mark, but it's pretty tough to come up with that extra 1.5, 2.5 seconds to bridge the gap on the front runners in the Touring Car Championship.
It certainly is, and the word is that he's quite keen to get the car over and do Bathurst, which is a fantastic experience for someone that's so young.
Hope he can find the money.
Well, and it's a long haul from here as well, but he's out there having a go and doing quite well.
1 lap to go now for Craig Lowndes as he lines it up, crosses the start-finish line. Just 1 circuit of the Wanneroo racetrack to go to make it another perfect 3 out of 3 clean sweep in this 8th round of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship, and set himself up, you got to say it, almost certainly now for the 1996 championship.
It's the 3rd time he's done it. A perfect 3 from 3. He did an absolute demolition job at Symonds Plains earlier in the year for round 4. Repeated the dose at Lakeside 2 weeks ago, and here he is again. Absolute domination, 3 from 3. Just really playing with the field. He doesn't look like he's working hard at all. This car, tremendous power down out of the corners. It looks like it's got so much grip he doesn't even have to use most of the road, and he's just doing it so easily. Just kind of like a bombshell in touring car racing this year. I've expected he'd get a caning at the hands of the old school, but he really has just left him standing.
In the background there we can just see Glenn, who's just not good enough today.
So last corner, last lap for Craig Lowndes, 3 from 3, gets the checkered flag. He'll just beat home Glenn Seton in 2nd position. Alan Jones closing on the Ford Credit Falcon in 3rd. And there's still a battle going on for Scaife. Longhurst. Scaife will finally pick up 4th and Longhurst 5th.
On the Shell race score, looks like he could have done it on cruise control. Craig Lowndes the winner again in this round of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. Glenn Seton coming home 2nd in that event. Alan Jones in 3rd spot. Mark Scaife in 4th, holding out Tony Longhurst. Followed by Russell Ingle in 6th position, then John Bowe, Steve Ellery, Paul Romano and Stephen Richards.
Welcome back to Wanneroo Raceway, and there's no doubting the Holden Racing team's dominance over today's proceedings. Round number 8 in our top privateer. Congratulations to Stephen Richards.
Thanks, Andy. Yeah, we had a good day today. I'd like to thank Auto Action for supporting the Privateers Cup, Valvoline, Cummins, Pyro Performance Products, Qantas, and of course Bridgestones for having such great tyres today.
We're going to have to start questioning you being a privateer. You're giving some of these top teams a real run.
Oh, we're trying hard anyway.
And you're going extremely well. Congratulations. 3rd place, and everything was just looking so good before about half race distance in the 3rd. Peter Brock. From north to south, east to west, the name still gets a giant roar.
Actually, someone was saying to me before the race, you know, oh, well, this is going to be a lay-down misère. And I said, I've been around motor racing too long to bet on any of those sorts of things. Something happened in the gear shift mechanism, but really the car's just beautiful to drive, and it was a credit to the boys. And to get 3rd overall for the day, despite all that, was rather incredible.
A tough circuit. I mean, brakes, tyres, you need the grunt. It's got everything.
Yeah, you need a bit of balance to get the car consistently fast. If you start sliding the car too much, you lose that straight line drive. But the cars are just beautiful to drive at the moment. As long as you sort of drive within the limits of what the car can offer, it just does it lap after lap.
Peter, congratulations. 2nd place and the first Ford on the podium, Glenn Seton. Glenn, the lone Ford pilot.
It's hard work out there with the Holden team. They've done a sensational job, so I congratulate them. Also Craig on his effort today. But my team, who's worked over the clock to try and get ours as quick as we can, and we just got to do a bit more homework.
Well, you're going very well as we head towards the Enduros. Glenn Seton, congratulations. And there has certainly been no doubting today's winner. And at this point, I would ask the Motorsport Manager for Shell, Mr. Ross Brodie, to present the winner's garland to Mr. Craig Lowndes. I just heard someone yell out Junior. Exceptional stuff today.
It's as Peter said, the cars are going great. The teams have done a lot of work, and it's a credit to them. We just drive the things.
You ever wake up in the morning and think this has just been a dream year?
Well, at the start of the year, no one had any hope for me, and now they're all expecting me to win. So hopefully we can go on and win this elusive one that HRT had never won.
It has been a while, hasn't it, for the team?
It has, yes.
Looking very nice as we head towards Bathurst, we head towards Sandown. Of course, we've still got a couple of rounds of the series remaining.
We have got a couple of rounds, so we've got 6 races to go, and we're looking forward to it now. It's going to make it a little bit easier on us, I think, with the point gap we've got, but we're looking forward to, I think Brocky and I are looking forward to the long distance as well.
Can you take it easy as yet?
No, not yet, no.
Well, I think you and Peter sort of cleared out and missed most of the action today, but congratulations, Craig Lowndes, victor, round number 8 here at Wanneroo, and he's going to be hard to beat for this year's title.
Yes, there's no doubt Craig Lowndes has got it all, and he displayed it for us here today at Wanneroo in Perth in round 8 of the championship. Looking at the points, well, it looks pretty good for him now, doesn't it, Mark Oastler?
Certainly does, Gary. 59 points up on John Bowe. That's effectively 3 race wins ahead of the Shell FAI Falcon driver. Glenn Seton in third on 260, Peter Brock on 204, and Russell Ingall now 158.
Well, Brad Jones, I know we can't concede the championship at this point to Craig Lowndes, but it's looking good. Do you think they made a mistake by not giving the Ford Falcon something a little extra, which they had asked for?
Well, it's looking a bit like that at the moment. The Fords were always penalised when the Seton cars were dominant or the Dick Johnson cars were dominant, and now obviously the HRT have a much superior mousetrap, and it's looking like the Fords could do with something to make up the gap.
Yeah, that's the point, isn't it? The last 3 times the Fords have looked too strong. They've been pulled back to the field, but it hasn't happened this time for Holdens.
That's true, but if I was a Holden competitor, I'd feel a little bit cheated because they need something to make up the gap to HRT. So by and large, HRT just have a much better package than anyone else at the moment for some reason.
Looking beyond the Touring Car Championship with Bathurst ahead, would you want to be driving a Ford at the moment?
I think if I had a choice, you'd nearly have to say you'd want to be in a HRT car. They're just so strong at the moment, but I'm sure that the other teams will focus for Bathurst. It's one of those important races where someone like Larry Perkins, that's been running nowhere this weekend, out of the top 10 or just around that, can possibly go out and win it. It's a unique race. So I'm sure they haven't lost heart completely, but gee, they certainly want to make sure they're pencil sharp.
If there's going to be nothing done officially to redress the balance between the two makes, what can the Ford guys, if anything, what can they do?
Well, a lot of homework. They really have to go out and test their cars and make sure that they do whatever they need to make them work.